attention, but also I might not be easy to pay attention to if you weren't trying to pay attention. Miss Mary and Chloe exchanged a look. Maybe she's having a stroke, Chloe said helpfully. Her eyes were brighter. The coffee was doing its work. I'm not having a stroke, just trying to strike a certain tone. You look good, Miss Mary said with the same finality she used for informing customers what they were getting for breakfast if they took too long to order. It was reassuring, actually. If Miss Mary said it, it must be true. And not like a try-hard, Chloe added, which clinched it for me. What are you trying hard for but trying to look like you're not trying hard for? It's nothing, I said. Nothing doesn't have you fussing over your clothes and going into work an hour early, Miss Mary noted. Try again. We have a big client coming in today, and I want to make a good impression, that's all. A good impression, but also no impression, Chloe said. It's a mystery wrapped in an enigma. Miss Mary chuckled into her coffee mug. I like it better when you're not completely awake, I told Chloe. You know how to make it stop. Tell us what's up. She studied me with interest now. This was bad news, because Chloe was an aspiring investigative journalist, and once her curiosity was in play, she could be relentless. There was no way I was ready to tell them about Miles Crowe. They'd both understand immediately, Miss Mary especially. She'd had a front-row seat to the whole disaster all those years ago, and she'd wiped my 14-year-old tears almost as often as my mom had. Chloe and I had met in college, after the worst of it. But there was no way not to know the story unless you'd lived under a rock for a decade. She'd understand why I hated Miles Crowe with a white-hot passion I didn't even reserve for mice, and I hated mice. I hated Miles Crowe more than poison ivy, itchy socks, the stink of the French Quarter on the hottest day of summer, people who didn't use turn signals, namaste puns on yoga tank tops, chigger bites, and the thick crust of smashed love bugs I had to scrub off my car's fender every Saturday in the spring. Combined. But somehow, he had ended up on my calendar this morning anyway. I had half a mind to run over to Miss Lila's shop in the French Quarter for a charm to ward off the bad juju coming for me. She said the stuff in the store was junk for tourists because real voodoo was too sacred for them, but I sort of wanted the comfort of a charm anyway. Just a little gree-gree to hang over the doorway, or maybe some sage to smudge. Something to stop the inevitability of Miles Crowe reappearing in my life. I'd been quiet too long, and now I had Chloe and Miss Mary's undivided attention. Time for evasive maneuvers. Are the chicken biscuits ready? I asked Miss Mary. You know it, honey. Jerome's got them boxed and ready for you. Must be a big meeting if you need to bring in catering. The interrogation wasn't over as she reached for the coffee pot. My boss is pulling out all the stops, so you know that means breakfast from Mary's place. Course it does, she said, unmoved by my flattery. She had the best chicken biscuits in New Orleans, and she knew it. Thank her for the order, but I still don't like her running you as ragged as she does. You sound like my mom, I said, accepting my full tumbler of coffee. We both get to claim you. I figure I raised you. She studied me like she was calculating. About 25%, and your mama did the rest. True that. I took a sip of the hot chicory coffee and smiled. She still doesn't make coffee as good as yours. Nobody can. Miss Mary spoke with the calm certainty of gospel truth. But I sure wish Jerome would learn. I'm not going to be around forever. You going somewhere? I asked, pausing before taking another sip. Chloe blinked at Miss Mary. Is something wrong? Are you sick? Miss Mary looked from one to the other of us like we were crazy. I'd seen the same look so many times from her in my life that I relaxed and took another sip of my coffee. Nothing is wrong with me, she said. I just shouldn't be the only person in my life who can make a decent cup of coffee. Fair enough, I said. I glanced down at my watch.